Pandemonium reigns.
What is up, family, friends? Pandemonium reigns up in your business, here to talk Miami. The 2024 Miami Hurricanes got a brand new backfield. Hopefully got a brand new look getting away from Adidas. Probably not, though. Are they finally back? Can they win the conference? Who the heck are they? I got them with a really high ceiling and a very mid floor. We're going to talk ceiling. We're going to talk floor. We're going to talk the entire 2024 schedule. Looking forward to this one, man.
Yeah, man. One of those should be, you don't get this feel from their home games, but should be one of those desperate programs. Nebraska, Tennessee, you could say Texas before last season, I think, desperate for high-end success, or really, in Miami's case, consistent success again. Should be really fun. I can't imagine what it would be. Can you imagine being a Miami-ish resident and watching the transformation of this program looking back 25 years?
No. In a lot of similar ways, they've been like that of Tennessee, but even in the sharing of the dark days, I feel like in a lot of ways it's been worse for Miami. They lost the OB, they lost the stadium, and they've never really recovered, I believe, from that. And they built Hard Rock, and it's just not the same. That the OB used to rock in the days of Kellen Winslow and Ken Dorsey and Andre Johnson and all those guys, name after name after name. Even with us, even in the dark days of consider Derek Dooley and Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, think about the 2019 games that we went to. Packed house against in South. Yeah.
We went to back-to-back weeks, and one was a dreary afternoon game, and the other one was a raucous night game with a lot of explosion in it. Really, from the first play of the game. I mean, they've not really. Yeah, sure. Every program wins some games here and there, but they've not really had any defining moments. Or what do they have that they can really cling to? I mean, they've not had guys go into the NFL and really take it by storm. Not that Tennessee's done that as much lately, but they've not really had anything. Is kind of my point to say, well, at least we've got that. They've not really had that, and I can't imagine the pain that would be when you look back 25 years ago. Even, I mean, come on,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Again, I think it's a good way of putting it. Like, at least we've had this, At least we had anyway. A lot of questions surrounding them. A lot of questions, even with their schedule. Some not only toss up, but we're going to get into this. But what I believe is a major swing game that will impact the rest of their schedule after that particular one. But hey, man, before we get into this, let's go ahead and tell you about our friends. One of our sponsors of Pandemonium Reigns, our friends over at NFTF. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm rocking it. Let me tell you about those guys. North Forsyth Training and Fitness, located at 4015 Browns Bridge Road. They are a growing gym. So now is the time to be a part. They've got classes all morning. They've added a noon class. They're getting ready to add what they call a master's class for your 55 and up. People say, man, CrossFit is crazy. It's modified. Jesse Foster knows what he's doing. There's some things that I just can't do, but he modifies to me, into my body. I will say this, with the help of Jesse Foster, I'm down about 1.5 inches in my stomach and down about 10 pounds total in the last 4 weeks. So take with that what you will. Proof is in the pudding. Give Jesse a call, man. 706-633-6609, 4015 Browns Bridge Road, and tell him the boys at Pandemonium Reigns sent you. All right. Appreciate Jesse and the guys over at NFTF. But, man, we got to talk Miami. Miami.
Yes, we do.
Very much looking forward to this one. So, just recapping a little bit, 2023, they went 7-6 with a lot to be desired. You lose to Rutgers in a bowl game. You took a 14-point loss to NC State, 7-point loss to Louisville. So you had some rough losses, and that doesn't even include the Georgia Tech loss, in which never should have been a loss. All you got to do is just put your knee on the ground. Just put your knee on the ground. And then you had some tough wins, some questionable wins. You had a 3-point win in overtime against Virginia at home, and you get an overtime win against Clemson at home. And that's to be argued because apparently Cade went rogue and did something that wasn't called and, potentially cost, Clemson in that regard. But gone are Tyler Van Dyke to the portal, headed to Wisconsin. Gone is Henry Parrish Jr., who is headed back to Ole Miss. You get Xavier Restrepo back, who is a Brandon Stokely hybrid, who is a Julian Edelman. You know what they say about the White Raiders. They're gym rats. They're this. Well, so
gym rat.
Yeah, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. Was responsible for 6 scores last year. And one more thing before I get to the finale right here, what I really want to talk about. 34 players hit the transfer portal from Miami. 13 came in, but only 2 names are being talked about. Cam Ward and Damian Martinez.
Now I've seen buzz too about the receiver Sammy Brown from Houston, but you've got to wonder with a crazy ratio like that. I mean, that's almost 3-1 in terms of what you lost versus what you brought in. Can that be a good thing? I think there's absolutely a chance that can be a good thing. If you look at the upside, if you put some trust in Mario Cristobal, if you look at the upside of the guys that people are talking about, Cam Ward, Damian Martinez, some like Sammy Brown that I mentioned a moment ago, I think that can absolutely parlay that into a good thing. Maybe that's what it takes to weed out some of those losing tendencies of Georgia Tech. Just the example that I'm going to continue to fall back on, the one that gives me so much pause into putting trust into that program again. Not that there's been much reason to, which we've addressed. But, Damian Martinez, he slipped into Miami from the portal under my radar completely. There was some buzz about him where his visits were scheduled. I think there's a potential that that's an upgrade, even though you look at a veteran like Parrish. And, I'm not sweating a single bit. Of course, no one should. I think when you bring in Cam Ward to potentially replace Van Dyke with his upside, with his mobility, with him being maybe a safer bit of a gunslinger versus Van Dyke kind of getting into trouble at times here and there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, so you had 34 going out. You had 13 come in, but I mean, give me Cam Ward over Tyler Van Dyke and give me Damian Martinez over Henry Parrish. Any day. That's an easy wash for me. So with the additions, the few additions that they had, we're mainly talking about 2. Okay, you lost 34. Take it. I mean, I'm taking that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about us, and the 2 guys like that, all right, and the buzz that is around Cam Ward's name at this time and what he did at spring, and I mean, the guy was talking about going pro in the offseason before he transferred to Miami. So do with that what you will, man. And now you're going to have this opportunity for Cam Ward to find Xavier Restrepo through the air, 1,000-yard receiver. I mean, you got to like that. And then they've got I don't know how to say the names. I mean, Iamaliava is already tough enough. You got the Magau. I don't know how to say it. You got any help there? Can you help me? You know what I'm talking about?
Malangoa.
What? Say it again?
Malangoa.
Yeah, that one.
Francis Malangoa.
Yeah, so the right tackle and then the older brother at linebacker. So you got those guys. But hey, man, let's get into the schedule. You know what jumped off to me is regarding their schedule. No Pitt, which really bums me out because I grew up in those Big East days when, West Virginia was playing Louisville and Miami was playing Pitt, and that was a big one. So I'm sad to see that one gone. Miami also missed out on NC State, and they also missed out on Clemson. You look at their schedule and you go, I don't hate that. Decent amount of competition, decent amount of what do you want to call cupcake games or ones where you can look at and say, all right, that's a dub, that's a win. Give me that one there. I jotted down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toss-up games where I struggled a little bit, but for the most part, I was able to go win, 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 like it. But I mean, the question is not can they, it's will they.
Yeah. Will they kick the door down?
Yeah.
Will they even explore the possibility of their upper ceiling? Because, like you're saying, this is a schedule, and we're going to get there, but this is a schedule that is the opportunity for 9-3, 10-2, with potential room for more if things don't work out here or there for their opponents. And they take a step, which is, look, it's a big step that they got to take. It's not a baby step right now.
Right.
I mean, fighting off losing tendencies is hard. We've watched that across the country. We've watched it in our hearts in Knoxville. It's hard to fight off losing tendencies. It's hard to take a big step, and that's what they have to do to even explore their ceiling. But what you're talking about, I'm with you. It starts off with the chance. They should have been 5-0 if they take a knee against Georgia Tech last year. They would have been 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
That chance is there. The chance I see for 6-0 is there, and we're about to get to it. But ask a program that needs to take those steps. It's tough to do, and I'll be fascinated to watch it.
Oh, for sure. My eyes will be all over Miami. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, let's get into it. So they open up swinging, and this is my game where I went swing game. If they win this one, it sets them up really, really well. If they lose this one, if they come off on a loss on this foot, it's going to be tough, I believe, to bounce back from, because the question around Florida is, who's Florida? What do they got? Are they legit? Everybody's down and out on them, but some people are saying, like J.D. PicKell, like, don't discount Florida, like there's talent there, yada, yada, yada. Miami at Florida, Gainesville's going to be bumping. I mean, it's say what you want to about what Billy Napier has done thus far. Everybody's undefeated at this point. You're opening against Miami. Ben Hill Griffin is going to be on fire. This was a major toss-up for me.
Oh, this is tough. This is really tough.
So how did you land this one?
So I look at a few things here. It's hard for me to move past the bias of Florida starting slow under the Napier era, starting slow under his era. Miami has started a little bit quicker out of the gate. It's been more their staying power. What can they do down the line is what it's been for Miami. And I look at the upside of a Cam Ward versus, we know that Graham Mertz is better than we thought he would be, but maybe his upper potential if Miami does figure some things out. And then, as crazy as this is, as maybe contradictory as this sounds for how I've sounded about Mario Cristobal, I'm not worried as much, week one opportunity, as weird as that sounds, even though it's a road environment. There, we've talked about what home field means for them, what it doesn't. There are reasons for me, some of them personal, some of them a little bit biased against Florida, that I'm taking Miami to get out on the right foot and get to 1-0 in the swamp.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I landed on a win for Miami as well. I like the fact that if this goes to a shootout, I like the odds of Damian Martinez and Cam Ward and Restrepo. Of course, I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. Consistently being able to put up points than Graham Mertz and whoever he's throwing to. If it's
that's a good point.
If it's,
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. If it's a ball control game, Damian Martinez is not small. They're like, okay, we can play this game too, run between the tackles, clock manage. Like, we can do that as well. Question, I think, will be, can Miami do something early to take the wind out of the sails of that stadium, out of Graham Mertz getting his head? Who knows? I just think I like the star power better on the Hurricane end than I do the Gator end.
That's almost exactly what I was going to say when I almost cut you off a minute ago. I can get to 4 consistent contributors, especially if Sammy Brown from Houston can be one of them. I can get to 3 without him. I don't know that I can get to 3 on Florida's offense right now. I mean, Mertz. Yeah, they had some freshman receivers do some things last year. They lose their Xavier Restrepo, if you will, and my gosh, the young man who was drafted in the first round, Ricky Pearsall. My God. Ricky Pearsall off the NFL. Can they replace his production? Because he was one of the most consistent producers for them. He was the guy that Graham Mertz was going to look to. If I'm Graham Mertz, I might have been like testing the waters to re-enter the portal what do I have looking at in the draft? I mean, think about the way that quarterbacks went early this year. With just the loss of Pearsall and the lack of belief overall in the direction of the program, I would have been considering my ways out. But I can get to a few names in Miami before I can in Gainesville. All those reasons just back me up on going 1-0 for the Hurricanes here.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And college football always has this narrative of names that kind of pop out of nowhere, how many times has Tennessee turned, the what was the old Florida quarterback in 2014? We turned him into a Heisman guy that night. Anyway.
Treon Harris.
Yes. Names just come out of nowhere. But at this point, too much question around Florida. A lot of momentum surrounding Miami, and you know what? Cam Ward's one of those guys who I believe can put a whole team on his back. So I'm gonna take Miami.
Yeah,
they're gonna turn around and host back-to-back games at home, UAB and Ball State. I don't want to spend a lot of time there. I'm assuming you got those at wins, and you got Miami at 3-0 when it's done.
I do have Florida A&M in week 2.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, look at that. I misunderstood that logo. Not UAB, FAMU. Either way, it's a win.
And I think FAMU's another one. Also on the schedule is Duke that we're going to get to. I think FAMU's one of those programs that was really, really, really struggling with numbers just a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. One thing I wanted to mention about Florida is I would give my house for that game to be moved up to Thursday or a weeknight. Give me that game on a weeknight in the Swamp. Then, look, if that game's not a night game in the Swamp, shut it down, Florida. Shut it down. You're done. Get that as a night game in the Swamp for my purposes alone. But I would give anything for it to be Thursday night.
Well, you know how this goes. There's only a few programs in the country who determine when they actually get to kick off. And Florida, at the moment, is not one of them.
That's true.
That would be, Georgia and Alabama and
LSU. LSU plays everything at night when they want to. Yeah.
Screw everybody.
But yes, 3-0 Hurricanes. Momentum heading to Tampa.
Yes, dude. At Tampa, at South Florida, at Mike Golish, dude. So we talked about before we hopped on here how Brad Crawford of 247 dropped his prediction. He's got this as a loss for Miami.
Is that not crazy?
Dude,
crazy, dude?
Like, what world are we living in? Hey, dude, I'm here for it. Horns up or whatever it is they do, bulls up. I don't know what it is that they say or do, but dude, give me Mike Golish getting a dub against the University of Miami. Give me that. That would be awesome.
Alex Golish. Alex Golish.
What did I say? Mike,
yeah. You're looking at me. It's easy. It's easy to see.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Alex
but no, that would be so exciting. But I mean, I'm personally going back to the reasons we just talked about in the Swamp. Yeah. Cam Ward, I think I was thinking that before you mentioned. I think he's someone that has. I mean, I didn't think I would say these words for another program so soon. He's got like Hendon Hooker capabilities for Miami. I mean, the way that to lift a program, to put it on the back, to bring weapons out, and I think that's what he has the ability to do if things go right, and he has the season that many are expecting. He's got way more buzz heading into the season than Hooker had at any point at Tennessee going into a season.
Yes.
But yeah, all those reasons, still the brands a little bit, the rebuild that Golish was walking into when he went to Tampa now, and he's done a fine job getting them to a bowl game last year. Yes. I'm going Miami here 4-0. You got to do it. Absolutely have to do it.
No, I'm with you. I'm gonna take Miami to go 4-0 right there as well. Just because, I mean, you got to assume that there's a talent gap, right? I mean, you have to assume that. So for that reason, but I mean, what, year one of Cristobal, MTSU was breaking the U over the knee. Last year, the Tech is breaking the U over the knee. I mean, it won't surprise me. It will not surprise me.
It will not surprise me a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if USF just, goes, I mean, they went toe-to-toe with Bama last year.
And really, this is the perfect time to revisit your swing game statement of the Swamp. And the things that I'm just going to go ahead and preview for my floor. Like, if things do go awry in the Swamp, like if you lose, on a last-second field goal, or you lose on a 4th and 14 in the Swamp, then this game could very well be a loss. Now, they rebounded a little bit better than we maybe expected them to, or showed more fight in some of those games after those losses in 2023. But at some point, like we're talking about, the program, the era is progressing for Cristobal. This is when it could break like completely. Like, he could be out. Like the writing could be on the wall by October.
Yeah.
If things go wrong.
If he's 2-2 going into Virginia Tech, yikes.
It's over. Like they can't come back from that.
Yikes. But let's say he's 4-0. All right. Let's say he's 4-0, which is what we both got him at this point. He's won at Florida. He's won out South Florida. He's now got like his first true home game of the season. I mean, Florida A&M and Ball State, womp, 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 hosting Virginia Tech. And there's a really good chance that Virginia Tech is going to be undefeated as well. Just real quickly, they're going to go 1-0 against Vanderbilt. They should go 2-0 against Marshall, 3-0 against Old Dominion, should go 4-0 against Rutgers, and then at Miami. If both of these teams are 4-0 coming to this game, what I would give for this game to be in Blacksburg with that storyline, but
yes,
it's going to be in Miami, which, if that's the case, you got to assume that the crowd is now involved, present.
Hopefully,
it's not hockey. I mean, you got some that are going to be there. I mean, Miami has proven like when they're winning and they're winning big, like then they turn out. But if it's anything less, they don't go.
No.
But Hard Rock could have a turnout for this one.
Yeah. No need to revisit really the lot work that's being done at Virginia Tech, what a hole they were climbing out of. But yes, I really want this to be a battle of 4-0 teams. This one is on a Friday night. Again, can we swap that with Florida? Please, just do something. But I think, again, man, the fact that it is away from – and I'm not calling – I'm not going to rehash the Miami home game situation, but the fact that it's away from Blacksburg, the upside of Ward, the things that we keep coming to at this point of the season, I am going to say, and I want to see it, Miami 5-0.
Yeah, I'm going to take Miami as well. I will say that Virginia Tech has made some way too early top 25s. So, but I mean, you touched that on already, the job that's being done there. I'll leave it at that, man. I got them at 5-0. Then they're going to travel across the world.
Yes.
Play at Berkeley, California. I'm going to give this a win. Just too much. Cal, I mean, who's Cal without Jade Knott? What do they got? What do they have?
I mean, nothing.
They got nothing.
They have nothing.
So
they have nothing.
I mean, you're going to take that as a win for Miami too, right?
I'm 100% taking that as a win. I think Miami, it'll probably make more sense to fly east and literally go around the world than it does to play a conference game and to travel all the way across the continental United States. We're not going there either. But California, man, please do something. Please do something to fix what's going on there. It's trash. I'd love to see it be better, but it's not, and it's going to be Miami 6-0. 6-0 with let me say this, 6-0 with the best placement of a bye week that I think we've seen in this series.
I was just about to say that. Yes. What a time for a bye week going into a rough 2-game stretch here at Louisville, hosting Florida State. At Louisville, man, this is one of those games where I go, man, I really don't know. I mean, I made a prediction on it, but Tyler Shaw, quarterback for Louisville, I believe. Louisville's got some uncertainty on their roster altogether. Tyler Barron's in the portal. He hasn't decided yet. Is Wesley Walker still there? Like, what's going on that?
I think he's out. Yeah, I think he's out.
They lost Penny Boone. There's just a lot going on with Louisville. But I'll say this before whatever it is that you're about to say. I still got Jeff Brom, and that dude knows how to dial it up. He knows how.
Yes, he sure does. He absolutely. Like, he could take you and I and do something, I think. I really do. I really think that. But what we've not mentioned yet with Louisville, and of course they keep popping up because we've kind of camped out in the ACC here of late with Florida State, with Clemson. There's something going on, and it isn't good. Now, I still love the Brom factor. I love what he can do. Like I just said, I think he could do some work with my younger brother and you and I and some family members. But something's not right with maybe it's strictly NIL, which you can't mess with. I mean, that's one way to demotivate your team off the jump. So things could go weird. They could go wrong in Louisville. I'm taking Jeff Brom as of early May to pull a win here. But let's not be alarmed. Let's not be shocked if what looked promising there takes an ugly turn at some point. I don't know what their early schedule looks like. Maybe we look at them down the road. But, things could go – they're not playing their cards perfectly right with some of these guys that they've brought in leaving before we even get to fall camp.
Yeah. No.
Through spring might be the better way to say that. I'm
with you. I think because we're making this prediction early May, way before, even game one, I got to go Jeff Brom. And at some point, my mind starts to go, all right, let's say you are 6-0 at this point. At what point does Miami do what Miami's done recently and Cristobal do what he's done in two different places? Like, when does that pop up? When does that happen?
Yeah.
It's almost like having battered Vol syndrome. So
yeah.
I'm gonna take Brom. I'm gonna take Louisville. Even still, 6-1, 6-1 with a chance for the ACC championship game still in grasp. There's still a lot to play for here.
Absolutely a lot to play for here. Yeah.
But then you host Florida State.
Man. Now,
that week comes again, at time, but man, Louisville, then Florida State.
Precisely what I was going to say. The most important 3 weeks of maybe Cristobal's career, depending on what's happened prior. Maybe you get a win at Louisville, and you're playing for 8-0 here, and that's when you can see some, like, we both predicted Florida State to win this game 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I'm standing by that, but if Miami manages to get to 7-0, they are relatively well rested, and like we talked about, they're going to be in a little bit of a weird number spot due to the attrition that we got to. So they're going to need some health breaks. They're going to need some maybe bad DJ to show up. But again, I'm going to stand by Florida State here. I really believe in what they've got going on. They've got me believing in DJ, which I didn't know that I could do again, really. But if things go weird, if Miami has managed to get unscathed to this point, let's not be shocked again by an upset here. I'm still going to call it an upset.
Oh yeah, I can think if they win that Louisville game and they're undefeated going into Florida State. Now Hard Rock is bumping. It's bumping at this point.
It should, yeah. It's got to be. It has to be.
It's bumping, but
yeah,
too much for Florida State as well. I feel like Florida State could have bad quarterback play that night and still win this game. So
that's the level of trust I've got in them right now.
I mean,
almost, yeah.
Those guys who are returning from Florida State off that 23 squad they've got to be pissed off. I mean, it's revenge tour. In my mind, Miami's in the way. So
they're in the way. Their fans are like, hey, their home field sucks. Let's go buy the tickets. Like, even if Miami's doing relatively well, I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of Florida State's workouts, man, coming from winter, fresh off of the end of that season, going into spring, which we're now through. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. I can't imagine just the sheer rage that was going on in there at times. Yeah. And I'm with you. All that to say, the revenge tour should still be alive and kicking at this point of the season.
Should. I mean, it should. I mean, especially if they're undefeated, by this.
Yes.
So I've got that as a loss for Miami. So this is still a tough 4-game stretch that we've kind of failed to mention on Miami, because now they're hosting Duke, and the interesting part there is the guy at the helm for Duke, Manny Diaz, old Miami head coach. Question is, will they have enough offensive linemen? Oh, I don't like it. Give me Miami.
Same, dude. This could go so poorly for Duke that they could be looked at as one of those Ball State or, maybe at least USF's level of talent with what they have numbers-wise. This is Miami. They're getting back on track because they're probably not getting through those 2 weeks prior unscathed. So they're getting back on track in this game.
I'm with you. Then you're in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. I have this as a toss-up, and this is one of those where I'm going, it just won't surprise me. No matter if it's Miami close, Miami big, Georgia Tech close, Georgia Tech big, nothing's going to surprise me right here. Georgia Tech is on the up. I did give this as a Miami win here. It's one of those like that loss last year was not like you lost on, a heartbreak fashion of last second field goal. You gave it away. So your loss
You handed it.
Not only was it full of heartbreak, it was full of like embarrassment and pain. How do you bounce back from that in the sports world? I mean, they got to go. There's going to be a lot of pressure on my mind in Miami's side of things. Like you got to vindicate this. You've got to vindicate this.
Yeah. Some revenge has to kick in for Miami at some point for them to do things correctly, I think. And I kind of view Georgia Tech as in their way in the sense that we talk about Miami being in Florida State's way. So I am going Miami here. I won't be 1% surprised if they do somehow lose this game because we've also really not given them an opportunity in the win-loss column for Miami things to happen, for crystal ball things to happen. I can't call it this far out. I am going to go Miami here, which I think brings them to like 8-2 entering the last couple.
You've got them at 8. Well, we both do. Yeah, we both got them at 8-2 at this point. Now they're gonna turn around and host Wake Forest. I like this one in their favor. Wake Forest, man, who do they got? Give me a name. Not Dave Clawson.
Well, you took the name that I had.
There you go. I mean, anything that they seem to get lately transfers out. And the last thing that I can think that they had, Sam Harton, Kenneth Walker, and they both left for greener pastures. Wake Forest is just one of those where I'm concerned for their future with all this conference movement and whatnot. Like, who are they going to be going forward? I'll say this: at least Vanderbilt has the academic thing going for them in the SEC. What's Wake Forest bring to? I mean, you got really sick uniforms. I mean, that black and gold, you make it look nice, but it's a Miami win.
And like Vanderbilt, they've got baseball going on to an extent, but they're really not living up to what they thought they had there. This game is one of my candidates for Miami things to happen.
Okay,
I do think, like we just talked about, that they get through Georgia Tech, but there's just something about this one. Maybe it's just Clawson seems to pull it together like every other year. I don't know. It wasn't their year last year, coming off of losing Hartman. They obviously didn't get past that in 1 year. I don't think they do this year, obviously, but they're kind of like an even year program. I don't know if that's actually a thing in football. I'm gonna go in early May with a Miami win here. Can't believe it. 9 wins already, 1 to go. But I just don't know anything about Wake Forest, and I can't even hot take Wake Forest win here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, this is, in my mind, this is turn around, hand it to Martinez. Turn around and hand it to Martinez over here. Turn around.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, why not? They're going to end the season in upstate New York at Syracuse. Don't think it matters. Just don't think it matters. I'm going to take a Miami win.
I don't either. I mean,
as you've so well pointed out, in early May. So that means we both got them at 10-2, man. 10-2 with losses to Florida State. But I want you to think about
playing out
I want you to think about answer me this. Say game 1, Florida is a loss. How differently does the schedule unfold for them?
That parlays right into my floor. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go ahead and go there, but it parlays right into it. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I mean, let's say they lose in Florida, and I don't care what the fashion is. I mean, maybe Florida just whips it out and controls it by 2 touchdowns all the way, something like that, or they break their hearts, whatever. I think you might really lose that USF game at that point. It's hard to see it. It's hard to say it with what we've talked about Miami having, but I think there's a chance that you are 2-2 facing an upstart Virginia Tech coming to your place when that place is then going to be dead. What are you going to do in that game? All right, then there's a chance that you're 2-3 at that point. Yeah. I don't think it matters against Cal, other than you're traveling way too far than you should ever travel to play Cal. But I'm going to say they can win that game either way. If they lose to Florida, take away any hope, any prayer, any of the weird stuff that we talked about. Louisville could have everyone transfer out midseason. They're still losing that game. Same for Florida State. DJ could be like, it's not really working for me as a right-handed quarterback. I'm going to play it left-handed. It's a loss. And I think that brings them to 4 or 5 at that point.
Yeah.
And you just know if we get to that point, Cristobal's probably gone. Like, all of the inspiration's gone. Cam Ward's thinking about the NFL. Martinez, is he draft eligible this year? Was he a true freshman at Oregon State? I don't remember.
Been there a minute, man.
Players are doing non-college football related activities at this point. They're worrying about their future. They're not playing the game, right?
Yeah.
This has this is the most explosive floor and ceiling situation that we've maybe looked at any point. But I'm going to say their floor is the potential of, doing a little quick math, their floor is like 3-9 or 4-8, and their ceiling is, 11-1 with one upset and kind of doing what you should do the rest of the way. I don't think there's a 12-0 path here, because that's a really tough middle of the season stretch, and it's not easy to close out the season, especially with some of the weird factors like, upstate New York. Maybe Clawson has it rolling. I don't think there's a 12-0 picture here. I do think 11-1's on the table if things go bad at Louisville. But dude, this has the chance to fall off the rails in September.
So you're saying something like 5-7 for the floor, 4-8.
I'll go 4-8. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I really think they could pee down their legs so bad that it's 3-9 if they Miami the situation. So I'll go 4-8.
Okay.
4-8 versus 11-1 for me.
Okay. To answer your question, Damian Martinez's freshman year was 2022. Hendon Hooker's year.
Okay. Again, all that to say that Cam Ward's thinking about the NFL if this is falling off, and his prospects have dropped, and the inspiration is probably not there to keep going.
Yeah.
Take yourself out, whatever. That's what we see these days. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but if things go off the rails, you're not going to get the buy-in from anybody. I
hear you. I got their ceiling the same, 11-1. You win Florida, you just set up really, really well. I think best case scenario, you split Louisville, and Florida State feels like a reach, but you're splitting one of those. I don't think you're pulling off both. I'm with you. I don't think you're pulling off 12-0. I don't think that's realistic. I think 11-1 is realistic, but I think your floor is higher than that. If they pee down their leg that bad, Cristobal's out.
Cristobal,
and he
never needs to be a head coach again. He never needs to be a head coach again.
Yeah, and so if they lose to Florida, let's just assume that's the case. I can see a South Florida loss, and I can see something like a Georgia Tech loss. So I've really got that like an 8-4. Maybe a 7-5 situation, but for the sake of going on record, I'm gonna say 8-4. Overall, the schedule for them is not terrible. As a Tennessee fan, I've seen much worse. Your stretch is Louisville to G-Tech, Louisville, Florida State, Duke, G-Tech, and there's only one that I look at in that 4-game stretch, and I just go, just no. And that's Florida State.
Yeah,
but it's still at home for them. So let me ask you this as we begin to wind this up. Can they and will they, two separate questions there, win the ACC?
No, because I think about that Florida State game right now without seeing any form of a 2024 football season. I think about that Florida State game like I think about Tennessee versus Alabama under Pruitt, under Butch, like I think about almost Tennessee, Georgia right now. It's very close to that. If it's not that, the coaching aspect, the players aspect, just every aspect, I favor Florida State. Give me a potential rematch. Florida State, I like even in that. That's just how much more strongly I feel about Florida State in May than I do about Miami, because all of the good that can be set up for them it hinges so hard on what happens on the road in the swamp and not pulling a Miami across the rest of the games before then.
Will they be in the championship game? I mean, getting there and winning it, two different things.
They can be there as long as it doesn't require beating Florida State. You know what I mean? Like if you've got one loss entering that game, you're out. You know, if you're undefeated at that moment, you might be able to get back in the door somehow with even a loss to Florida State. But I just don't see it because I mean of the reasons we've laid out. Basically, the middle stretch, the pressure that'll hinge on the Florida game for both programs. I mean, it's pressure packed. Napier can't afford another bad start. Miami can't afford any more bad, you know, and the hope for any more good. I mean, I just don't see it. They can. I just don't see it.
I'm with you. So the question that surrounds Miami is that Tennessee's faced before the 22 season. You know, we'll believe it when we see it. You know,
yeah.
Our fan base being accused of, you say next year, every year. You say this is our year, every year. You know, Miami's just kind of in that category right now, along with a Nebraska, along with, you know, those blue blood programs basically from the 90s that almost haven't found their way back. They have a favorable schedule. They have a schedule in which they can do something with. Again, they missed Pitt, NC State, and Clemson. Mediocre 4-game stretch there. Perfect placement for the bye week. Cam Ward, Damian Martinez, you got some weapons. You know, worst case scenario for these guys, one of those guys gets hurt. You know, it's a season-ending injury. Then, at that point, I would say it's curtains for you, Cristobal. It's curtains. So, anyway, man, anything else on Miami?
I don't believe so, man. I need to know where I need to send the petition. Maybe a couple dollars to get that Florida game moved up to a weeknight. That's my only request. But yeah, I mean, this is my trust in Cristobal will be easily broken this year, as I've laid out before we even talked about him. You know, I don't think I've got anything new though.
Okay. Well, I'll just throw a jab before we hop off here. Last season was the 20-year, let's call it, anniversary of Tennessee going down to Miami and breaking their home game win streak, beating was it Brock Berlin and Kellen Winslow and those guys helping their home game win streak. Casey Clausen, Derek Tinsley, and all those guys going into the OB and stealing a win right from underneath them. Hey, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're Tennessee fans at heart. This is what we do. We're for the rise of Miami. The better Miami is, the more of a struggle Florida has, and we're here for that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Miami kind of falls into that category. So I would say college football is better when Miami is good. However, Miami, get out from underneath Adidas and let's get with Nike. Let's do this thing. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on this video. Make sure that you comment, that you agree, that you disagree, that you love us and that we're pretty and that you think we're stupid, or, you know, we want to know what you think. Be sure to leave a comment on the video. Tell your mom, your dad, your mom, granny, all about Pandemonium Reigns. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm Dan. He's Mike. God bless. Go Vols.
GBO.